Hello, everyone. This is Outnumbered. I'm Emily Campagno, and joining me today, Fox News contributor and author of the upcoming book, Fear Itself, Tammy Bruce, Fox Business correspondent, Jerry Willis, Fox News contributor and board-certified physician, Dr. Nicole Saphier, and Fox News contributor and former Utah Congressman, Jason Chaffetz. Now, former President Trump closing out a monumental Republican National Convention last night, accepting the GOP nomination for president. It was his first major public address since being shot at a rally over the weekend. He focused on unity and bringing our very divided country together. And he started out by reflecting on last weekend's assassination attempt, admitting it was very painful to relive.
I'm not supposed to be here tonight. Not supposed to be here.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Yeah. Thank you. But I'm not. And I'll tell you, I stand before you in this arena only by the grace of Almighty God.
And Trump made sure to honor the rallygoers injured in the shooting. And in one special moment, he embraced the uniform of Corey Comparatori, the former firefighter and father who was killed while protecting his family. The former president then went on to lay out his vision for America, coming together to make this country great once again.
I'm here tonight to lay out a vision for the whole nation, to every citizen, whether you're a young or old man or woman, Democrat, Republican or independent, black or white, Asian or Hispanic. I extend to you a hand of loyalty and of friendship. Together we will lead America to new heights of greatness like the world has never seen before. Now is the time to remember that we are all fellow citizens. We are one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we must not criminalize dissent or demonize political disagreement, which is what's been happening in our country lately. No matter what obstacle comes our way, we will not break, we will not bend, we will not back down, and I will never stop fighting for you, your family, and our magnificent country. Never. So tonight, whether you've supported me in the past or not, I hope you will support me in the future, because I will bring back the American dream. That's what we're going to do. You don't even hear about the American dream anymore. With great humility, I am asking you to be excited about the future of our country. Be excited. Be excited.
And Tammy, amid the reaction to this historic speech, amid those who say they've seen a new side of Donald Trump and feel encouraged and feel hope for the future, the New York Post out with this cover that says, "A New Dawn."
You know, it's a newspaper that we love the puns. And of course, that could have been DAWN. That's right. A new age, right? A new forward-looking vision. And what's distinctive there is you heard him say, I want you to be excited. Whereas the Democrat message is always, let's romanticize your victimhood. Don't be excited. Be angry. Be victimized. Be hopeless. Come with us. We're as enraged as you are. Very different way of approaching the nature of the future and the fact that we actually might have one. And that's what people, I don't care what your politics, what your party is, and this is the chance to unlock those doors of people who've been trapped where it's been unsafe to think your thoughts and tell your friends that you might want to vote for Trump because regardless of what you think about, because of what can happen, you realize now. And I think an assassination attempt for most people reminded us of the mortal nature of every single one of us and also of our own future. So that's what's at stake. It is a new dawn, but it's also the first time that we've seen, I think, any convention that is optimistic, forward-looking, and united. And I think that we're all very excited to see that.
And Congressman, some even noting from the left that this enthusiasm that Tammy's talking about, the new feeling that we haven't felt something like that, or they haven't, since 2008 when Obama accepted the nomination for the Democrat Party. Let's take a look.
This whole thing is like this. And hey, guys, the last time I was in a convention that felt like this was Obama 2008. There's something happening.
There's something happening, he says.
Yeah, Van Jones is usually very candid, and I appreciate that about him. But remember when Barack Obama said, we're not the red states, we're not the blue states, we're the United States, and everybody, who would disagree with that? But the promise of what the Democrats delivered was just very different than how it ended up. And Joe Biden was supposed to be that uniter, and he wasn't. And this was a great opportunity for the President of the United States to go out and talk to people who don't follow politics every day, to go out there and talk about it. And you know what? The addition of J.D. Vance as somebody who pulled himself up from the bootstraps, who you know, his mama or whatever, her
Mama. I have one of those.
That
It's a
story,
mama.
who could not love
Yes.
that? And his tribute to his mother, talking about how she's 10 years clean and sober, and then she just, you know, that's my boy. These were emotional moments.
That's right. And talk to me about the receipt for Americans in terms of the reality they face, Jerry. As Governor Huckabee said last hour, you know, under this administration, they can't buy groceries, they can't buy gas, and they can't get to grandma's house or mama's house.
Mama. Sorry.
And they will be able to.
So, I mean, look, I appreciate all the emotional moments, and I agree with you, they were really effective, but they're going to have to switch to the offensive here. And the most obvious argument right now is it's the economy, stupid. Now, I think they're headed in that direction. I think we have some sound from the former president that will help me prove this.
So tonight, I make this pledge to the great people of America. I will end the devastating inflation crisis immediately, bring down interest rates, and lower the cost of energy. We will drill, baby, drill.
And so that's music to the ears of a lot of people in Rust Belt states, right? What he said right there. We're happy to hear this stuff. Look, under Trump, unemployment was at its lowest level in history. Wages were growing. Now, 2/3 of Americans say, I'm trying to save money just for the necessities. I can't spend on anything else. So people are feeling the crush of this economy. This is a natural argument for Trump and Vance, who I also agree has a real stake in this and will be great at explaining these issues to the American people.
You know, and to Jerry's point, one thing that I think is being overlooked from last night was Eric Trump's speech. I thought that had such an amazing amount of honesty and this sense of hope in it. He essentially said, look at everything that Americans care about. He talked about inflation, crime, drugs, and he looked at the camera to all Americans, not just Republicans, and he said, I'm sorry. We're going to fix this. And so he was speaking to everyone. For the last couple of decades, from the Obama campaign, we hear the campaign slogans of change. From President Biden, it was the best days are ahead. Well, the best days are ahead when? It's now been over 3.5 years. CBS poll shows things are going in the wrong direction. And then you saw from former President Trump this sense of calm and graciousness. So for the people who agree with his policies but don't really like his conduct, he may have changed their mind last night. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, exactly what Nicole said. But also, this was a very patriotic. We love our country. We love our military. We love the people who have served this country. We love our first responders. And that's something, quite frankly, you don't see as much on the other side. And so I think it was a message from President Trump himself saying, we're here to support everybody. We're gonna represent everybody. Everybody gets to come along and live that American dream. And I think that's why he's going to be so ultra successful and, quite frankly, the 47th president of the United States.
I was struck by how many in the audience, I was struck by many things, and by how many in the audience clearly showed so much emotion, so many tears, so many the vibrance, just the impact, we can't be overstated. For the record, I called my grandmother Nonni. For any of you Italian Americans watching.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.